following contains adult language and poorly impersonating celebrity voices and parodies. Listener discretion is advised.
What's up, everybody? Seems like forever since we've been on, even though you just saw us last week, probably.
Yeah, it's been
What's
like
going on, guys?
What's up?
Good to see you.
Adam, who are we looking at tonight?
We have two very important guests tonight. They are longtime COS members. We have Sara Josephine Clarke and her lovely husband, Dr. Warlock Dylan Clarke. Please welcome to the show.
Welcome
Hello,
to the
guys.
show.
Thank you.
That sounds cool, Dr. Warlock.
Yes.
He's a doctor and he's a warlock.
That's
Or
badass.
does it go Warlock Doctor? How do you know which one goes first?
I would say
When,
Dr. Warlock.
when you say Warlock Doctor, it seems like he's a doctor of warlocks. But when you say
But
Dr.
Dr. Warlock sounds like a superhero.
Yeah, dude, that's badass.
Or like a villain, like he should fight Doctor Strange.
Yeah,
Mm-hmm. Like Dr. Detroit.
yeah, Dr. Demento. I don't know where we're going with this.
So,
How you guys
Hey,
doing?
Dan Lockwood.
Yeah. PhD,
Great.
what's your PhD in?
Computer science.
That's correct. I'm looking at your bio. You are correct.
you
nice.
nailed it.
Good job. Good on you, mate.
Computer science.
Yeah.
And where are you
Tell us
from?
about that.
Originally from Yorkshire in the north of England, but lived in Newcastle for a long time.
Awesome.
I like the way you talk, man.
Yeah.
I like Newcastle beer.
Yeah. Cambridge. Sweet, man, for cybersecurity. So you're a senior software developer. Do you like that, or is it like totally boring?
I really enjoy it.
Nice.
It's far more fun than being in academia, getting to just build real things every day.
Yeah. Like what's some stuff you do every day?
Things like putting together mobile applications, mainly business stuff, doing some web development, planning out projects. We mainly do business-to-business stuff.
Cool.
So it's just like a day will be a few meetings, loads of programming all day, and I tend to specialise in like the difficult bits that other people can't figure out. So it's like always just sat there staring at things like doing a puzzle, and then finally you get it, and then everybody's pleased.
Ah, sweet.
So were you always a techie? Like when you were young, were you into anything technologically based?
Oh, absolutely, yeah. My dad got us one of the old BBC Model B computers when I was 4, and I remember typing in the listings from magazines and trying to learn to read better so I could type the listings in better. That was how early I got started.
Wow.
That's
Crazy.
awesome.
I was playing with Star Wars toys when I was 5.
Yeah.
Didn't come out to 5. I don't know what I was doing for. Nothing. Star Wars wasn't even out, so I was doing nothing.
I was in closets with older
Waiting.
girls. It was anyway.
No, you were in the closet, right?
Yeah. Sweet. So Sarah, you're a tarot card reader and a hypnotist, right? Oh no,
Dylan is.
I'm reading it
Yes.
wrong.
It's still him.
John.
You're correct. You're correct. It's Dylan. That's right.
He was quizzing you.
Right.
Ah.
What don't you do, Dylan?
Dishes.
Yes.
Dishes. Nice.
Technology for that.
Nice. Can you hypnotize Dorian right now?
No.
Make him think he's like a chicken or something? No?
Not really something for a group over Skype type, well, over, I should say, video chat type of thing.
So, did you ever see that movie Get Out?
No, I haven't.
This guy, like, is he's like the boyfriend of this girl that brings her to meet their parents, and the parents are like some weird, wacky hypnotist, but they're like really like crazy, and they keep doing these weird things, and then he like gets hooked on it and like becomes a zombie, and like he can't escape and stuff. Is that like real? Can you really do stuff like that?
You probably could, but you'd be more talking like a long-term situation like cults do with brainwashing.
Yeah.
You know, if somebody's in their normal social situation and they're with their friends and you're living a normal life, hypnosis is only going to be what they want it to be. It can help people, but you know, you'd really need to sort of take somebody out of their life if you wanted to totally change them against their will.
So do you see those guys on stage where, you know, they have the panel of people and they're making them do crazy stuff and bark like dogs and stuff? That's BS, right?
No, it's not. It's mainly about, I've known people who do it. It's about selecting people who would love to do stuff like that anyway, but are a little bit shy, and then helping them take their inhibitions away, and then just letting them run with it.
Oh, cool.
But is that not possibly that person seeing a chance to drop their inhibition and basically tending to be hypnotized when they're not, but they want to be? Surely that happens sometimes, at least.
Yeah, it's sort of, there is a lot of genuine hypnosis there, but yeah, a lot of it is selecting the right people, and then people who just want it to happen.
Sure.
Can you tell us a crazy story about hypnotizing somebody?
I don't know. You want to go there?
Let's think.
Okay.
And I'm gonna think. Well, this isn't really a crazy story, but it's an interesting. In fact, I'll just tell what I did the other weekend with the seminar. So I was teaching a seminar at a local thing called the Inner Light Festival, which is kind of a new agey thing. We were there selling Sara's art, and I was doing tarot card readings, and we did a free seminar, and I hadn't had a lot of time to prepare for it, so I just basically went in, and it was the topic was tarot, guided meditation, and self-image, and I knew roughly what I wanted to do. It was an audience of about 12 people, and I could see right from the start they didn't really want to participate a lot. They wanted to hear things, and they were all open for whatever. So I just basically went up there, gave them a short introduction, hypnotised everybody in the room, took them through a process where they sort of worked through their own issues in the mind, had a wonderful time, felt relaxed, and just brought things out of their own subconscious that was useful for them. And essentially that was all I did, with very little content, for the whole 30-minute seminar, taking them in and out of trance. And afterwards I got a round of applause, and everyone was really pleased, and they were telling me sort of the wonderful things I'd said. And while I had helped them a lot, I hadn't actually said anything. I'd just encourage them to bring things out of their own mind. And I even had some people come up to me at the end and say that they hadn't done it quite the way I'd said. They'd found something that fit better for them, so they thought they'd kind of got the advanced track out of it.
Awesome. So how did you learn how to do that?
Initially, I started off learning a bit from books. Then I went and got some proper training in NLP initially. Did my practitioner course in the Manchester area. Then I trained with various different people in hypnosis and NLP. Then I went back and got my master practitioner from the same people. And then I've just carried on cross-training quite regularly.
Does that pay well? Or the cybersecurity pays better?
It depends. The hypnosis pays better at an hourly rate, but the cybersecurity pays very well, and you're guaranteed your hours.
Right. So, Sara, you're an artist.
She's an amazing artist.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, do we have some of her pictures that we can show on the show?
We do.
On the show? Cool.
Yes.
Okay.
Throw them up there.
Yeah, get them to me. We'll put them up.
I will.
Well, tell us about your style. Tell us about what you do.
Yeah.
I pretty much just make small amounts of things at a time, like batches, usually. Like, I'll feel like making jewelry, and so I'll make rings, or whatever. I sculpt. You have that little guy.
Cool.
One day I just felt like making those, and I made a batch of them, and just whoever bought them got them, kind of thing. And, but I sculpt, I paint. Okay. I mainly formulate my own perfumes more than anything. That's probably, if I was known for something, it'd probably be that. My endeavor will turn 15 in March. 15 years old.
Yeah.
And in that time, I've probably created close to 300 different original perfumes.
Wow, sweet.
300?
Yeah. Right now, I have, I think, 54, and I'm adding a new set based on the Zodiac this week.
Wow. So
Um,
what inspires that? How do you decide? Like, do you get ideas of like I'm going to start a new line and here's what
it
process
really
that?
depends. Like I have one called say Funeral Pyre. That was one of the first 10 I created, and it's sort of like what would
Dead
that
body.
smell like, and but also how do you make it elegant and where someone would be like ooh, and you can sort of entice them with these things. It's not available currently, but another example is I made a set of perfumes inspired by the Wicker Man with Christopher Lee, and they all like if you got the samples, they came in the little evil eye boat, just all these little
Mm.
Cool.
touches, but there were things throughout the film that involve things that could be tied in with fragrance. Like there was one called A Martyr's Death, which is one of Christopher Lee's lines. Myrtle says, and Summer Isle apples, all sorts of just moments in a theme, and it's kind of right there for the taking in those cases.
Does that take some experimenting to get mix a scent that really kind of triggers what you want it to be?
Yes.
Yeah.
I test on only non-human animals. Oh, I'm sorry, human animals. I almost said that like a really
I'm
wrong
like,
way.
wait a minute, what?
Edit.
But
Yeah.
but
Test
yeah,
on cat.
thank you. But
Yeah.
like the way, say, our cat reacts to it, in addition, will like smelling it on me will be like if he's like ooh, and you can
Right.
get other species to pay attention to what you're doing. Just
If the cat runs from you, maybe I did something.
yeah, like he's not liking that. He's never done that,
The cat
thankfully.
doesn't like me today.
Yeah, he runs all the time. What
Yes.
are you?
He's
He's just a
So how do you go about doing something like that? Like you said, funeral pyre. Let's say I'm just thinking like a campfire thing. Do you actually take something from the campfire and get it in the mix and make it smell that way? I mean, how do you do something like that?
no.
What do you do?
Um, it's just
Trade
you
secret.
play around until you get the right thing.
But what is used in that? Like, is it?
That description's on my website.
You don't remember.
I have to kill you.
Yeah.
I'm kind of vaguely specific. It's really hard to describe scent too. It is.
Yeah.
And it's one of those things where you can say all day what's in it or what it's about, but it comes down to someone just smelling it and saying yay or nay.
Yeah.
I always thought that was funny with like different like candles and stuff like that. Like my wife and I are we love like the ocean and like these candles that say, oh, it's the ocean spray. And you smell like never been to an ocean that smelled like that.
Right.
Ocean
It's always
breeze.
disappointing.
Yeah.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Smells like old crab. Ugh.
Yeah.
It's not the ocean.
Which right,
I
yeah, that's
do
what it
try-
should actually smell like, dead fish. But
Yeah.
And
We want
I
it in
do
the
try
house.
to bring about some of the things Dr. LeVay mentions, in the Satanic Witch about such things. Like I make one called Motorpsycho, which is, kind of based on motor oil, but making it smell good. Just, those things that he mentioned that I'm like, that would be great,
Cool, yeah.
I knew a
You've got
girl.
your Saint 3 conjurations as
Oh,
well.
yes, I made a set of conjurations of compassion, destruction, and lust.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
I knew a
Mine
girl.
always stays with me.
Sorry, I knew a girl once. That's all I wanted to say. No,
Oh,
I
okay.
knew. I knew a
In the
girl.
biblical sense.
Yeah, I knew a girl in college, and she every time she came in the room and the door opened, breeze came in. 'Cause in Arizona, it's like those outside classrooms, and then you got an indoor thing. But you smell everybody that comes in, and some people wear way too much cologne and perfume
Yeah.
and stuff. But she smelled like familiar, and I'm like, what? Like, what is that? And it didn't smell flowery. It didn't smell feminine at
Right.
all, actually. I asked her one time, like, she's like, I can't tell you. And then, I kept bugging her about it. I'm like, come on, what is it? She said she puts on gun oil.
Hobbies number 9.
That's a good
I was
smell.
like,
That's a good
what?
smell.
Yeah.
That's like top 3 favorite smells for me. One would be Hoppies.
Yeah.
I would say Old Book is another one. And Hoppies and Old Book are the top 2. And I don't know.
Old vagina? You
Third,
like old
yeah.
vagina,
No, I'll have to pass on that.
Nice.
But
Yeah, gun oil.
Jasmine
Go figure.
can have that. Jasmine can have that sort of reaction from people because it's the closest thing to human pheromones on a molecular
Mm.
level.
Interesting. Is that what catnip is to cats? Like the closest thing to pheromones? Why they act all funny?
I don't know. I know that I remember getting catnip essential oil and putting it on toys, and you think cats react to just dry catnip. You try essential oil up, it's just like little feral beast.
Buck horny. Yeah.
My cat gets violent. Yeah.
Yes.
I dig your tattoo, by the way, Sarah, on your chest. I noticed
you.
that at Devil's Reign, and it stood out to me because I actually had, before I saw it on you, had envisioned the exact same tattoo on myself, more off to the side of the chest. I haven't done that, but I remember seeing it going, hey, that's my tattoo.
Yeah.
But you beat me to it.
I got this in, I think, October of 2007. Yeah, thank you.
Some.
Very cool.
What other tattoos you got? I'm kidding. Don't worry. Forget that.
Have the elephant man. I don't know.
I'm not an animal.
So, you've recently opened up a brick and mortar store, which is pretty cool. Where can people see your stuff online, and where can they go visit you in person in your store?
Yeah.
Online is thestillshow.com, and my store is in the Chevy Chase area of Lexington, Kentucky, upstairs from a store called Briar Books. They're an independent bookstore, and it's 319 South Ashland Avenue. And I'm only
Awesome.
there Fridays and Saturdays, 3 to 7, but also by appointment.
Very cool.
So thestillshow.com.
Does Dylan stand at the door? Do you stand at the door and hypnotize people and say you want to buy more stuff?
He does readings in there on Saturdays.
Nice.
Funny story, the seminar I was talking about, and I didn't do this intentionally, but I was in some of the stuff I did with people, the visualization. I talked to them I would often do like at hypnosis seminars about making sure you get everything you want this weekend. And I said that several times. I also had them imagining going towards the tarot card, the magician. I have a tarot card bag with the magician on it, and it was sat on our table. And a lot of the people came over to our table and decided they wanted to get something afterwards. And I was like, I don't know about that. But it works.
Yeah,
Hey, why not?
it's fun.
Yeah.
The store and vending.
So it's thestillshow.com. STILL.
Yes. That's an antiquated term for a dime museum. Like way back in the early carnival days. Actually, the first museums in the U.S. were dime museums. And that was, so I just thought it was a good, specific yet vague kind of catch-all for everything I make. And a lot of the performers in sideshow carnivals and things like that, when they had merchandise, no matter what it was, they actually called it Bibles. So if they had like, little self-portraits or they would just refer to them as Bibles. And I don't know, just neat bits of trivia.
Yeah, that's awesome.
That's cool.
So how did you two meet?
At the Devil's Reign too.
Oh, you guys met each other there. Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. It was
The night
after that.
was sultry.
What?
I said the night was sultry.
Yes. Well, the afternoon.
The afternoon. Yeah.
We met after that brunch on the Sunday.
Right. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, we both happened to get a lift back from it in Storm and Renee's car. Never met each other before. We both sat on the back seat and we got talking.
I figure I'm sitting by Mom like, hi. And he's like, hi. I'm like, who the hell are you talking like that? And I've been picking on him ever since.
Yes.
So.
Nice. Dylan's a regular backseat Romeo, isn't he?
Mm-hmm. And I think
Did you
everybody
hypnotize
got
her?
that we already knew
He
one
hypnotized
another.
her. He put his voodoo on her.
Yeah.
That's what friends of mine said. They're like, did he hypnotize her?
Yeah. Of course he did.
You'll never know.
Like, no, it's the other way
Secret to my
around.
grave.
Awesome.
Cool.
You guys, you already answered that other question. Forget it. Satanism. How did how'd you find that?
Each
You
of you.
want to go first?
Who first?
You.
Me? Well, I'm from a really small town in Louisiana, and it's where Southern Baptist, Assembly of God, Catholicism, Hoodoo, all that overlap with one another.
Slide
It's a
out.
few hours. It's a few hours north of where all the West Memphis 3 stuff happened, just to kind of put it in perspective.
Oh, yeah.
And this is a weird place to grow up. And I was called derogatory terms like like devil worshiper and things like that. And then I just happened upon the Satanic Bible and read it, and I was like, these people have no idea how right they actually are. But at the same time, I wrote it off as, well, everyone knows everything in this book. This isn't anything special. And I had to get a bit older and a bit more, oh, this really is something that most people don't get, before I fully appreciated it. I did identify it with that time, but it was a bit more lackadaisical, until I got older. And I didn't join until so I found it probably about 13, and I joined at 26, which is a long time later, but I did extensive research like crazy. Because I don't.
What was that? What was the initial draw? Was the initial draw just like a goth phase or something like that?
I think it was just there in Books a Million. Just, oh, what's that? And even though it's such a being a child of like the 80s, early 90s, it was where you didn't have all the parental supervision that you do now, so you just kind of read whatever and watched whatever, and it wasn't, a big deal like it seems to be now. And so, no, it was there, But I joined at 26. I think when I wish I could remember where it was. It was in some sociological journal. But when I read that the Church of Satan met the sociological criteria for church rather than cult, religion rather than cult, within the first 5 years of its existence, meaning it had already surpassed its founder and leader and could go on without him. Like, I can't think of any other religion that can say that. And so that was just one more reason that differentiated it in my eyes of like, yeah, it is the right thing to join that.
Yeah.
I don't know, Scientology did it though.
Yeah, Scientology. Yeah.
Oh, no. Yeah, they can't say that.
It's funny.
So for me, I was about 16, and initially I heard about Satanism from my brother, who was a couple of years younger than me, and he was going through a phase of going on the internet and looking for something to shock our parents with. So he decided he was a Satanist, having read all Satanism, and he was like reading everything off that he could, and I got reading it just out of interest, and it really resonated with me. A couple of weeks later he decided he was going to be a National Socialist instead, which lasted a couple of weeks, and then he got into gangster rap, and it was just, he had a year of
we
just
know
trying to
people
shock
like
our
that.
parents.
There's people that leave our organization like that all the time.
Yeah.
But it resonated with me, so I had a look round to see if I could get the books, which at the time in England, to get a copy of the Satanic Bible where I lived, I had to order it from a bookshop, and it took 6 weeks to arrive. It would be in 96. Got it ready.
Yep.
And I had to go in every week and ask, because I was at college at the time, and friends would come in with me and be shocked about what I'd ordered, and that was kind of fun. I got the book, read it in one night, totally resonated with me, ordered some other stuff, and then read it. And I didn't know a lot. I saw a little bit online, but at the time we had dial-up internet, and I just assumed Anton LaVey had written this a long time ago. I didn't know what he was doing or anything. And then it was 97, and suddenly his death was in the newspaper. And other people came and told me initially, and that made me aware that the Church of Satan still existed and was doing things. So then I took an interest more online, read a lot of books that were recommended in things like the Reading List and the Satanic Witch, stayed very interested. And then in 2002, I think it was, I joined.
I think you joined 2 years before I did.
Yeah. And then I was sort of a little bit active online, but mainly just doing my own thing for years.
Mm-hmm.
And then when the 49th came up, I was travelling to the US a lot, so I decided to go to that.
And
So how about?
I went to the 40th, but.
Oh yeah. How about like friends and family? Do they know you're Satanist, and how do they? Yeah, are they aware, and do they treat you differently?
Well, my mother has some schizophrenic tendencies, and she got born again when she realized she tricked me. She was like, I was watching television, and there was this man on there, and they was talking about the Temple of Set. Now, are you a part of that? It sounds like something you're a part of. And I was like, no, Mom, I'm Church of Satan. And she's like, and I'm like, no! I thought about taking a conversion after, but it's whatever. As long as we just talk about food and like thrift store finds, we get along fine.
Yeah.
You know.
That's good.
Dylan, how about you?
Your family know?
My family knows. I don't have a lot of family left because my parents are both deceased. I'm in touch with my brother a bit and my aunts, a couple of aunts and uncles, and they have no problem with it at all. I think friends, we have one or two weird reactions from time to time, don't we?
Yeah, they just don't get it, and they're like, "Oh my God, is it like in the movie The Witch?" Because living deliciously. It's like, no, that movie is stupid. And if you're paying attention, you know it's all about the bunny anyway. So shut up with your black fellow.
But yeah, I think we probably get more like, shall we say, bad fan behaviour than anything, don't we? People who think we're all about upsetting Christians, or that
like,
there's something to do with the
care.
Satanic Temple or something.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
The Satardation.
Shit.
That's funny.
Yeah.
But
I don't ever speak to my parents about it, but like I every now and then I'm pretty sure my mom knows. I think
figured it out by
last
now.
year maybe when it was John's birthday. John, when it was your birthday, when I sent you a text, I think I accidentally sent it to her first. Said Happy High Holiday or something, and she's like, High Holiday. I'm like,
What is that? Are you on drugs, Dorian?
And who's John?
Yeah.
And who's this Dorian character?
I probably said douchebag because thinking it was you.
Buddies. Yeah, totally.
What? Anyway.
Special Agent Dale Cooper. How'd you come up with that?
Where'd he go?
There
I
he is.
love Twin Peaks. I've always been all about Twin Peaks. I've made replicas of the ring. We did get another kitty at the same time we got him, but she had a brain tumor, died, and she was Audrey. She was Audrey Horne, but... Is it Cooper? He's sleeping. Say hi!
I don't wanna.
John has a cat,
Yeah.
and his cat shits in the toilet. Does your cat do that?
No.
No? My cat couldn't do it either. My cat was too stupid. I tried to teach him, and he's like, nah. No.
No.
Yep.
Scoop
Best
it.
best $25 I've ever spent.
I do what I want.
Cats are Satanists. Yeah.
I was drunk at John's house one night, and I went to go use the restroom, and I walked in, and his cat was sitting on the toilet, and he turns around, he looks at me like, excuse me. I'm like, sorry.
He's like, I'll be right out. That's how he talks. Fill my food bowl with food now. That's what he says.
Adam's like, I'll just pee in the sink. Don't worry.
Please tell
Where's the
me.
litter box?
He's like, I'm doing an upper decker.
I always think of that guy from that show Big Love peeing in the sink when I hear peeing in the sink. I don't know if y'all watch that.
Is that the one with Bill Paxton?
Yeah.
Yeah, I remember that. Yeah, that was pretty good.
Yeah. His dad was always peeing in the sink. He's like, yo,
I remember that.
I think that sums it up.
Does.
Yeah, other than got two people to answer the final question.
Yeah. I got a question, but you both have to answer it separately or together. It's your choice. What does Satan mean to you?
You want to go first? You want me to go? Right. Satan mean to me, it's the drive inside myself to achieve the things that I want to achieve. It's just that feeling of certainty and I'm going to do this thing and it's going to work.
I'd say for
Very
me,
good.
it's almost sort of a future self, even though it's in the present, of like what I'm working toward next. Not to say I don't live in the now or anything, but just it's sort of. I mean, you have to keep going
Goal.
and find more things as far as goals and things. So I'd say that's probably the simplest way of saying what Satan is to me.
The is to be. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. Awesome.
Dig it.
Guys, thank you. Thank you so much for coming
Yeah,
on.
thank you.
Devils we know. And may you guys
Absolutely.
You're welcome back anytime, of course. If you got any new updates,
Yeah.
any new scents you want to share, you can always come on and say, hey, I want to tell you
Thank
all
you.
about it.
Well, I've
Yeah,
heard a lot of
totally.
guys like them in their beards. So
Yeah. Yeah. This is getting
Yeah,
long.
they were like
Trim it.
synchronized beard petting
Yeah.
going on in there.
Well, may you guys experience many
Adam
more
usually
Devil's
sends me
Reigns.
that old vagina scent, so.
Say that again? I didn't hear you. It broke up. Sorry.
That Adam sends me that old vagina scent through the mail to put
Yeah.
How does he send it?
files.
Is it like first class or?
No, you
I
just
sent
puffed
it in a
out his
human
vagina
skull.
like a ping pong.
Yeah.
Yeah. Nice. Well, may you guys experience many more Devil's Reigns together. With
Thank
Storm
you.
and
Thank
Reyes.
you for having us.
Awesome. All right,
Great
guys.
having
Till
you.
next time. Hail Satan.
Next time. Hail
Hail
Satan.
Satan.